Hi, my name is Robert Young, and I am the saxophone professor at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. As a young saxophonist, I remember the feeling of having a lot to practice and feeling like I didn't have enough time to get it done. And as I matured as a musician, I realized I did have enough time. I just had to figure out how to become more effective with my time. So I would like to share with you a few quick tips that will lead you to become more efficient and effective in the practice room. Tip number 1, have a plan. Before you pick up your instrument, it's a great idea to think about what you hope to accomplish in your practice session. It's a great productivity tool, and if done in the right way, you'll find yourself walking away from your practice session with a sense of accomplishment. I find it very helpful to actually write down an agenda before I begin playing my first note. It helps to keep me honest, and it prevents me from getting off track. Now feel free to be as specific or as general as you like. I like to write down how much time I'll devote to my warm-up and conditioning, how much time I want to devote to my technique, and even my etudes and repertoire. By taking this small preliminary step, you can have a strong impact on your workflow in the practice room. Tip 2, practice slowly. When balancing an ensemble, sometimes we conceptualize the pyramid of sound. At the base of the pyramid, we have the lower pitched instruments, and they act as the foundation of the ensemble sound. And at the peak of the pyramid, we have the higher pitched instruments. When faced with a challenging passage, I introduce to my students what I call the pyramid of technique. Many young students have an approach similar to this. The fast repetitions take up the bulk of the practice time, while the slow repetitions are very few. I would be very cautious about such an approach for many reasons. Playing fast too many times can foster tension in the body, which also can lead to problems down the road. Practicing too fast too much can also lead to uneven technique. Quite frankly, it's simply not the best way to get the job done. My suggestion is quite the opposite. Slow practice should take up the majority of the practicing. As one increases the metronome speed, as the pyramid suggests, the repetition should decrease. For example, when I'm faced with a challenging passage, I may play very slowly for 20 to 25 repetitions. Once I get to the target tempo, I sometimes may only play it fast 1 or 2 times. Afterwards, I play it slowly even more. I would urge you to take a close look at your practice habits and think about where you're spending the majority of your time, slow or fast. Tip number 3, and this is a very important one. I would strongly suggest that you use tools to keep yourself honest when you're practicing. And working with a metronome and working with a tuner are very important. I would recommend using a metronome that has basic rhythmic subdivisions, and I personally use Dr. Beat's DB90. And I feel like this is a terrific machine for all purposes. This particular model costs about $150 brand new. And while I feel like it's an amazing device, you can find a metronome with similar options at a much lower price point at most local music stores. The tuner that I spend the majority of my time playing with is the Korg OT120. And I find that this tuner has several features that I look for, and most of all, it's extremely accurate. I have these devices on for a great deal of my practice time to keep me grounded and to keep me efficient. I would also like to stress that you do not need the most expensive metronome or the most expensive tuner to be effective. Just look for the best metronome and tuner that you can find in the price range that you're most comfortable with, and work with what you have. Well, there you have it. 3 tips that will increase your efficiency in the practice room. Tip number 1, have a plan. Tip number 2 was to practice slowly. And tip 3, use tools that will keep you honest in the practice room. For more tips like these, subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my website at robertyoungsaxophone.com.